You know, there was a time when during this month of June became like, especially since like Ogre Befell and gay marriage passed. I'd say from 2015 to around 2016, the month of June became like as protected as like an extinct animal, right? Like it was like you can't do or say anything in the month of June about what the month of June celebrates, which is gay pride. You can't say anything about it. It was like an extinct animal, man. That thing is like, it's like an eagle, the American eagle, man. You do something to an eagle, you might get federal time, federal prison. Well, times are changing. Times are changing. So Jojo Siwa of Nickelodeon fame went back in the closet. Let me explain what I mean. Jojo Siwa is a singer, actor, media personality. You know, those kids who grow up, have shows on Nickelodeon. That's a whole different topic. Nickelodeon has pumped out a lot of famous people that have done like a lot of damage to the world. But anyway, so she comes out as gay, lesbian a couple years ago, 2023, I think, and so forth. And then, a lot of people, I know some people that were struggling because their daughter really liked her and they thought she was going to influence them because that's just not how they want their daughter to function. So she comes out, says that she's a lesbian, the typical stuff and all of that, right? Well, last week, Jojo Siwa said something different. And here's what she said, which I thought was very interesting. So this is an arc. She did an interview with Daily Mail. It's a UK, I think, publication. And this is a different publication that's reporting on that. I would have brought that one up, but I don't have a subscription to them, and I ain't feel like paying for it because I don't read their publication too much. But here's what it says. Jojo Siwa, and this is the part that's pretty crazy, right? Jojo Siwa sparks backlash after saying she was pressured into calling herself a lesbian. All right? So this is the headline. Don't bury the lead. Who do you think she got backlash from? Right? Backlash from she was pressured into calling herself a lesbian. And here's what she says in the interview. This is just an excerpt. Jojo Siwa recently opened up about her evolving identity and relationship with TV star Chris Hughes. In an interview, the dancer revealed that she felt pressured to label herself as a lesbian after coming out, but now identifies as queer and embracing the fluidity of sexuality. While many see reason with Jojo Siwa's latest remarks, she also ignited a wave of backlash from fans for saying that the pressure she felt came from inside the LGBT community. Let me think. Here's what she said. She said this: when I came out at 17, I said I'm pansexual because I don't care about gender. But then I kind of boxed myself in and I said I'm lesbian. And I think I did that because of pressure. She revealed that the pressure didn't necessarily come from society at large, but from an unexpected place. In a weird way, it came from inside the LGBTQ community, from people I know, from partners I've had, she said. Siwa emphasized that sexuality isn't something fixed, adding, you just get put in this world where you feel like, not true, but okay, because you now have said, oh, I'm a lesbian, you have to be a lesbian, and the truth is sexuality is fluid. Now, let me tell you why this is somewhat of a big deal. Not because you or I are like, oh, no. My sexual ethic comes from the scriptures. And even though people try to say the Bible is ambiguous, we can have that conversation whenever you're ready. In fact, no, I'll probably get in trouble if I do that. I'll get in trouble. Oh, yeah, I'll get in trouble because people, if I talk politics or sexuality, I'm bound I'm bound to get in trouble. But I don't really care, as you can see. So I might do it anyway. But this is a big deal because, one, it's Pride Month, and this is the protected month. This is the bald eagle. This is the American eagle of America's sexual ethic. Do not say anything negative about gay, lesbian, anything during Pride Month. You better wait till July, right? Or you better have said it in May. She does an interview and says, I felt pressured from this community. Now, why is this important? Because many conservatives, many Christians, many parents who just don't subscribe to the lifestyle, to the alphabet community, have said they feel pressure from that community, from the society at large on some level, embracing that community to make your kids submit to that particular sexual ethic. And people have been saying, no, you're blaming these people. This is woo, 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 woo. And so here comes someone from that community who's famous, who is very influential, who falls in love with a guy on a celebrity Big Brother show and realizes, I'm not necessarily in that community. Now, because she said she believes sexuality is fluid, she still calls herself queer, which means I can like anyone. But if we read it further, she would say, I am head over heels in love. Chris Hughes, handsome dude, sweet. I hope they get married and have children and do it the way God intended. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. It's a big deal. Because you don't really see people say, I felt pressured by the community. Now, we hear about this, but you don't see people in the community, especially during Pride Month, coming out saying, I feel pressured by the community. So she's gotten backlash, but she has a big enough fan base that people care about her. And to be honest, some of the comments are just dumb. When did we start treating people who were 17 like they were 37, like they just are adults and know what they're doing? Is it me? Didn't I hear that the frontal lobe isn't even fully developed until you're 25? Like, people are acting like, oh, she could have done this. She wasn't pressured. She knew what she was doing. She was 17, fam. My son is 17. That Bama doesn't know what he's doing. Like, yeah, he's old enough to think and eat and use the bathroom by himself. And, and obviously she was famous, so she had money to take care of herself. But we act like, this is a different video. I'm doing a video called The Fountain of Youth. That's a different video. But for what I'm going to say right now, I'll say this. We equate fame, attractiveness, and money to maturity. I don't know why we do this. We think if you're popular, if you have money, and if you're attractive, if you're pretty or whatever, we somehow think that that's maturity, right? We think like, oh, why would they? We think it's maturity. It still happens all the time. I'll see these stories of these attractive women who were married that end up, being promiscuous with high school kids. And you're thinking, what are you thinking? You're a beautiful woman. Like, why would you do that? As if like maturity comes with the way you look, how much money you have, and all of that. So like, because she's famous, she's been out there for a long time, she has money, people think she's mature at 17. But we wouldn't do that in any other situation. We would never tell a kid who's 10 years old, you can drive, or we won't even let kids vote at 10 years old, but we'll let them define their sexuality. This is how you know this is a scheme of the devil. This is how you know, like, we won't let kids I won't even let my kid, now I will, because they're 17, almost 18, 17, 16, and almost 14. If I want to go out and do something or whatever, I might be like, all right, I'll see the boys in a little bit. They're old enough to be okay in the house. But for the most part, I'm not leaving my kids for overnight even, let alone a weekend, right? You're 17. Like, people are offended because, oh, she knew what she was doing. She was 17. She was 17. And she's saying this. Interesting. Shouts to Candace Owens. Candace Owens said it first. Let me tell you what Candace Owens said. Candace Owens publicly stated that she did not believe Jojo Siwa was a lesbian in early 2023. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I think Candace Owens just says stuff to say it. She has a following, and she talks fast and confident, and people love and believe everything Candace Owens says, or a lot of what she says. And I do not think Candace Owens is as sharp as people think, but I do appreciate some of her takes, and she is entertaining to say the least. I remember when she said this on her show, which was then attached to Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire. On that podcast, she released a video titled, "Is Jojo Siwa lying about being lesbian for attention?" This is a problem I have with Candace Owens, but it's also why I appreciate Candace Owens. She'll say stuff like this statement. Think about this statement. Look at this statement for a second. This is the title of the video that Candace Owens made. Here's the title of the video. "Is Jojo Siwa lying about being a lesbian for attention?" And herein lies the problem of society. You know what's interesting? This is a different video what I'm about to say too, about communication. But here's the thing. This is a statement about Jojo Siwa's motive. This is her asking a leading question, like in the courtroom. They ask you leading questions to try to get you to answer and think a certain way. This is a statement of her motive, and Candace Owens doesn't know. How can you prove that she did it for attention? In fact, the article that we just read proves otherwise. She genuinely felt that way, but when she met Chris Hughes, he had some game. And so now she's with Chris Hughes. Whoever she was dating before him, she said she's head over heels. She's with Chris Hughes, right? Now, I'm not saying they're in a God-glorifying relationship, but at least it's a redeemable one, right? It's redeemable. They can actually get married and do what God intended people to do, human beings to do, men and women, biologically speaking, right? But Candace Owens said this, and here's the actual quote. She said, "I don't believe Jojo Siwa is a lesbian, by the way." Now, she was right about that. You got to give her credit. I'll give her Candace Owens a credit, right? "I want to state that very clearly. I do believe she's desperate for attention." That's the part that I think gets her in trouble, and she rarely ever apologizes for that. But she doesn't need to, because people love her hot takes, and they want, the hotter they are, the better they are. I get it. When you have influence like that, you feel like you can say whatever you want and people will follow you. And sadly, people do, including believers. Say whatever you want. So Jojo Siwa, times are a-changing. You could not say anything negative about the alphabet community during the month of June. How dare you? It is actually refreshing to hear someone say what many of us feel, believe, have experienced, that there's pressure to do this. And we know, if you're a believer, we know Ephesians 6, we do not wrestle with flesh and blood. So we know that there's a spiritual agenda behind this. But I do appreciate that Jojo Siwa of Nickelodeon fame is saying, I was pressured. Let me make sure you see this again, so people aren't saying, well, that's what you said. No. Here's the article. Here's what she says. "When I came out at 17, I was pansexual. I'm pansexual. I said I'm because I don't care about gender. But then I kind of boxed myself in and said I'm a lesbian, and I didn't think that because of pressure. And I think I did that because of pressure." She revealed that it came, this is what she says, "In a weird way, it came from inside the LGBT community, from people I know, partners I've had." I appreciate that. Shouts to her. She's getting backlash, but she doesn't care because she's in love and her relationship is redeemable. This is still Pride Month. It's only a couple days left. I think it's the enemy. Here's what's wild about the enemy, right? Let me fix this. Here's what's wild about the enemy. He has the sexual ethic that rivals what God says the most, that demonstrates a pride over God, to call it Pride Month. Like, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. But shouts to Jojo Siwa. I got to give Candace Owens her props as well. During Pride Month, she says, I'm not a lesbian and I was pressured to do it. Here's what I hope happens. I hope more people believe this. I hope more people say this where it was true, so we can finally get some equilibrium here. Instead of pretending like everyone who does this was born this way or just is finding out who they really are. Yep, maybe some people believe that. Maybe some people believe that. You know, the idea of born this way, I think Jesus, this is what I love about God. And I'm going to end with this. And Jesus, as the Son of God, here's what I love. I'm sure Jesus knows what people will say about everything. He knows everything, right? In John chapter 3, he speaks to everyone who says, I was born this way, when he tells Nicodemus, you must be born again. It doesn't matter. So if you could prove that there was a gay gene, which they have not proven yet, what Jesus says is, you have to be born again. You have to be born again under his blood, not the blood of your mom, not the bloodline of your dad, but you have to be born under his blood, and then you have a different father. And the born again means, just like how your parents taught you right from wrong, now to be born again, you get your right and wrong from God, from Jesus, and from the Word. I love it. There is no, I was born a certain way too. And there were proclivities that I was born into as well. And it wasn't, but I had a sexual ethic that who wants to settle down with one person? Maybe a few people do, most people don't. But we have to, because we're born again. And that means we have to live according to this parent, which is God. Incredible time. Didn't expect to see this during Pride Month. Shouts to Jojo Siwa. Shouts to y'all. 25 of 100. I am 25%. I am a 1/4 of the way to my goal, 100 straight videos. And I lost 3 subscribers yesterday. So like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get me back up to 4,300. Stop pretending like everybody else has better content and they're not worth. And I'm just sitting here hovering at 42 and some change. All right. Enjoy yourself. I will see you tomorrow with the crazy topic, Lord willing.